Hello everyone and welcome back to JT on the Go. Today we are going to visit Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C. To get there, we took the DC Metro Blue Line to the Arlington Cemetery station. We also stayed at the Grand Hyatt that had direct access to the Metro at Metro Center Station. The DC Metro is actually one of the most convenient metros I've ever ridden on. One app I recommend downloading upon your visit is the ANC Explorer app. It will help you to find grave sites of American icons you want to go see. There are also screens where you put the full information of the person you are looking for, the grave, and the section they are buried in. Arlington Cemetery is the final resting place for many of our nation's greatest heroes. Then when you are ready, you can either walk to your destination in the cemetery or hop on a tram. The tram stops at locations including the grave of John F. Kennedy and the tomb of the unknown soldier, where there are restrooms. I highly recommend the tram. In Arlington Cemetery, the people that you would find buried here are soldiers in the military, people that once held government positions, and astronauts. Arlington became a cemetery on June 15, 1864.
The Military Women's Memorial, the brainchild of Brigadier Service Human Beings Civil Rights Activist, the first field secretary for the NAACP in his home state of Miss expansion would add 28,000.
Look at how many graves are here. There are 400,000 graves total. The first place we are going to is the section where the Supreme Court justices from the past are buried. One of the graves here is the tomb of the first African American appointed to the Supreme Court Associate Justice, Thurgood Marshall. After he passed away in 1993, he was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Baltimore's Thurgood Marshall Airport was named after him. It is one of the stops on the Acela Express route on the Northeast Corridor. Another Supreme Court justice buried here was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was famous for successfully fighting against gender discrimination and unified the liberal bloc of the court. When she passed away on September 18, 2020 at the age of 87, she was buried at Arlington. I did hear about her passing but did not expect to see her buried here. Nearby the section of the Supreme Court justices is the grave of John F. Kennedy. After Kennedy was assassinated, which I explained in my video about Daley Plaza, he was buried in Arlington Cemetery. The flame in the back was lit in 1963, and it is burning to this day. When Apollo 11 successfully landed on the moon, somebody brought a note to Kennedy's grave saying, "Mr. President, the Eagle has landed." The next section we are going to is Section 46, to visit the tomb of the crew of Space Shuttle Challenger and the tomb of the crew of Space Shuttle Columbia. That area over in the distance is the tomb of the unknown soldier. Here, the guards do a ceremonial change of the guards. It is very solemn. While en route to Section 46, we did pass some graves of members of the Tuskegee Airmen.
This is JT on the Go from Arlington National Cemetery. This tomb right here was for the memory of the 7 crew members that were killed on the Space Shuttle Challenger. On January 28, 1986, Space Shuttle Challenger, carrying these crew members, exploded shortly after takeoff. All of the crew members on board have perished. And this flight was supposed to be historic because Chris McAuliffe was supposed to be the first teacher in space. A bunch of school children were watching the launch of this, but they were shocked when they saw the explosion. It was a terrible tragedy.
Besides McAuliffe, some of the other astronauts did or were going to make history. Ron McNair was supposed to be the second African American in space, right behind Dr. Guy Bluford. Judith Resnick was the second American woman in space behind Sally Ride, and Ellison Onizuka became the first Asian and first Hawaiian in space before the Challenger explosion. The crew did survive the explosion but died when they hit the water. After the remains were recovered, they were buried here at Arlington National Cemetery.
This tomb right here is for the memory of the 7 crew members that were killed in the Space Shuttle Columbia breakup on February 1st, 2003. Clearly, 2023 marks 20 years after this tragedy. Space Shuttle Columbia was coming down from Earth after completing a mission to the ISS when all of a sudden it broke up during reentry.
When Columbia broke up, the remains of the space shuttle parts were spotted near Dallas, Texas. The crew was found somewhere in East Texas, and today they are buried here in Arlington Cemetery. This also shows that a space mission is not complete until everyone gets back home safely. The crew members of Apollo 1 were also buried here, along with Pete Conrad in Section 3, but there was road work on the streets nearby and we couldn't get in there. They were in that section though. Arlington Cemetery is on 639 acres of land, and it is very hilly and large. It was originally built as 200 acres, but later expanded to 639 by early 2020. If you look in this area, there is an open field that means this section could be dug up to accommodate more fallen service members. While we were walking around, we happened to almost run into a service for a fallen service member. The last person we visited was Medgar W. Evers. He was an American civil rights activist and also the NAACP's first field secretary in the state of Mississippi. He also played a key role in securing the involvement of the NAACP in the effort to publicize and bring to justice the case of the August 1955 murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till. He was assassinated on June 12, 1963 in Jackson, Mississippi. Today, this is where he is buried. There are many more famous people buried here, and some not so famous. In Section 27, there are graves marked as citizens. These are former slaves. Of course, they were not treated as citizens, with full and equal rights during that time. Arlington National Cemetery is a great place to visit in honor of those who built this nation and contributed to the freedoms we enjoy today. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe if you haven't for more JT on the Go. This is JT on the Go signing off.